Welcome in, everyone, to an all-new edition of the Belly Up Fantasy Live football show on the Belly Up Sports Network. We've done it. We've got all the way through to the championship game, the championship matchup coming up this weekend in fantasy football. And just several months after we kicked this off back in the summer with rankings and talking about predictions, we are now arriving at the conclusion of the fantasy football season. And here to take you all the way through the end, I'm Vince Stover, host of the Sports Stove Football Show. I am joined to my left by the senior writer at bellyupsports.com, the one and only Kevin Wilson. Kevin, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Vince. It's Christmas week, as you're well aware, and I mentioned before we went live that they're saying it might be the warmest Christmas ever in Texas. So there'll be no snow happening here, but that's totally fine with me. I'm very excited. There are some games to watch this weekend that have some absolute fantasy consequences. So I am very much looking forward to talking about it.
For sure. And next to Kevin, he's not quite as jolly of a spirit just because of his current sports fandom, but it is the co-host of the 3rd and 10 podcast and writer of bellyupsports.com, the one and only Brian Germanaro. Brian, you just ready to get to draft season yet?
Yeah, pretty much. We're all in on the number one overall pick. Big game this weekend. Hopefully we lose.
Yes. You know, it's funny. I was born in the mid 80s and I can not remember a time. There were some moments I was just too young of ever thinking, I sure hope my team loses. I
can rattle off
most of my life
for you right now if you want it.
I spent most of my life in the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers eras. Some of those Don Majkowski years, but again, I didn't understand draft picks even back then. So, yes, it's a fun place to be for sure. I guess I've been.
It's not at all. It's terrible. You're watching Sunday Night Football. It's like, man, both these teams are fighting for a playoff spots. Meanwhile, like, it's a dream to even get in this position.
Yeah.
Let alone actually get in it.
If only we can get to 3 wins. It was a crazy weekend of the NFL this week. All kinds of stuff happened. Let's start on Thursday night. Seahawks Rams overtime game. Rams looked like they had this one in the bag for a while, and actually so much so that when I went to bed, I thought, well, I picked the wrong team this week, because I picked Seattle to win that game. And I woke up on Friday morning, went to see how my fantasy team did, and said, oh, looky there. The Seahawks guys scored for me. That's good. Darnold, JSN. That worked out pretty well. Looked at the final score and said, oh, my goodness, they actually won this game. So, Kevin, you're the resident Seahawk fan here. How excited are you with that first place in the division right now?
I'm pretty jazzed up, but I have to say that you like to hear that I'm a diehard fan, and I was watching every single second because when they got the touchdown and it was 30-14, I was ready to close up shop. Yeah. And in fact, I had turned the TV off, and my wife was already asleep. And as I mentioned, Dustin, my cohort on Seahawks Sessions, and I were playing in the semifinals. I had JSN, who had a big donut. So before I was going to go to sleep, I went on there to congratulate him already to win. And all of a sudden, he was like, punt return for a touchdown. I'm like, well, I need to pay attention to this. So I put it back on, and I rode out the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And especially when the infamous, or however way famous, as far as I'm concerned, the 2-point conversion.
Yep.
And it went the Seahawks way, and all of a sudden it's 30-30. But then Puka, he could have walked on his knees and got to the end zone in the overtime. I'm like, okay. But then they went down there, because the Seahawks have a way of taking your heart and just grabbing it outside your chest and slamming it into the garbage can. And I was like, they're going to come back, and this is how I'm worried that this is how they're going to lose. But then Eric Saubert hadn't caught a pass the entire game. 2-point conversion, Seahawks win, woo-hoo. And what was really interesting was after the game was over and all the comments and all the crying and everything else that was going on, the refs were paid off, and it was unbelievable to me. People that were in position to know better didn't know better.
Yeah.
And so I was quite pleased with the game. They've got the number 1 seed. They still got a way to go because they've got Carolina on the road this week coming up, and then they've got the 49ers also on the road. But as of now, I am absolutely jazzed that the Seahawks, they're my team.
Yeah. Yeah, it was quite the weekend. Brian, your unbiased view of Rams Seahawks, thoughts on it?
It was incredible. It was an incredible game. It's one of those, like, when you're scrolling through channels on NFL Network in, like, June, and like NFL Network's got nothing else to play, so they're just running back games of the year. This is one we're going to see over and over again because, like you guys said, I thought the Seahawks were done. I literally put the game on my phone, started playing Xbox, not paying attention to it anymore until I heard about the 2-point conversion. Like what is going on? So when I saw that, I'm like, there's too much stuff working in Seahawks' favor. They're gonna pull this game out because that's just like we talk about, like, oh, things going your way.
Yeah. We've
never seen a 2-point conversion happen like that with by some miracle the ball's going backwards, even though it's probably going diagonal. If we're all honest here, that ball was diagonal.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when I saw it. It was diagonal. And it was amazing to me because there were people in the booth that were saying, wait a minute, this might be a backward pass. So they knew the rule.
Yeah, the fact that it could pick up on it, I mean, it's just incredible. And it's just going to be one of those, it's almost to be remembered as like the 2-point game, if you think about it.
Yeah. Well, I lived in Nashville back with the Music City Miracle, and still you can't convince me that was the backward pass in that game. But, those things happen. And when it happens, you have to sit there and say, well, you never know what the refs are going to say. And even in the day and age where we have all these angles and all these things that go on, you just never know what the result is going to be till they announce it, which brings so much excitement to the game. Maybe not I'm not sure the league loves that, but it's still, it all works out in the end.
They like the attention it gives them. They like that.
Oh yeah, and it proves the rule that if the ball is on the ground, pick it up.
Pick it up.
Nothing bad is going to happen if you pick up the football, and that proved that without question.
Oh yeah.
Saturday night, Eagles and Commanders. Saturday afternoon, Brian. Early on in this game, I'm sitting here going, there's no way the Commanders are actually going to win this game, right?
Yeah.
And the Eagles did pull it off. But it's what we've seen all year long from the Eagles. There's nothing that makes you go in any way confident that they're going to pull this off in the playoffs. So when you're watching that game, 2 NFC East opponents, Commanders stink this year. The Eagles, though, just continue to make you doubt what they can do in the postseason.
Oh, yeah. If I'm an Eagles fan, I've taken the panic button out. I've smashed it. I've done everything possible because this Eagles team reminds you so much of that 2023 team that kind of, lost its footing down the stretch and went to Tampa Bay and got upset first rounds. There's not like the only positive thing you can say is, okay, maybe the defense get hot. Maybe it gets better. There's enough talent there. But even then, you're watching it week in, week out, and it's just like you're getting all these breaks. You're getting lucky. When you get to the playoffs, that's not going to happen. So if I'm an Eagles fan, you can blame it on, Kevin Patullo play calling all you want. But do we really need to look more inwards? Because everything can't be perfect for the Eagles to be this unstoppable team. We've seen 2 of the last 3 years now, they've kind of come up short in this spot, and is it time to maybe look at a quarterback, look at the core itself, be like, is something rotten here?
Kevin, we've watched the Chiefs over the years struggle or not look great in the regular season, but we always knew that when they got to the playoffs, they were still really dangerous. When you look at this Philadelphia team, to me, that's not at all the case with them. So when you're looking at it, Kevin, what are you seeing this Philadelphia team as we get ready towards the playoffs?
Well, it's really curious to me because against Washington, they've got the number 30 defense.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you can't do what you need to do against the number 30 defense, then you've got problems.
Yeah.
And, you mentioned the Chiefs because the Chiefs didn't look like the Chiefs last year either.
True.
And they didn't win. But I think that Philadelphia, I know they've won the division. They'll have a home game. But if after that, I have no faith at all that they can go out on the road and beat one of these, whomever they have to play.
Yeah.
After that, if they have to go out on the road, I have no confidence in this team. And that's fine with me because there's no Philadelphia fans in this household. So, but like I said, if you can't handle the number 30 defense, you've got issues.
Yeah, I agree. Green Bay travels to Chicago. Just the heart-wrenching loss as a Packer fan. At the end of the day, it's backup quarterback, beat up Josh Jacobs. You live with it. It is what it is. They beat us. Okay, whatever. That's kind of the way I took it on Saturday night. Sunday, I come home for lunch from church, and my wife is pulling out the food for lunch, and she pulls out a bag of chips that have the Chicago Bears logo on it. And I said, "Dear," I said, was this in the house last night? She said, "Yeah." I said, "It's your fault." She said, "What?" I said, "Saturday night, you fed me soup for dinner instead of bratwurst. And today we pull out Chicago Bears chips in our house." I said, "It's all your fault that we lost. What is wrong with you?" She did not appreciate that take. But I didn't appreciate her causing us to lose to the Bears.
Let me ask you this. How did the Chicago Bears chips wind up in Wisconsin?
Okay. So now we got to go behind the curtain. Thanks a lot, Kevin. I live in Illinois. I work in Wisconsin. I live in Illinois. So I don't claim this very often. Now it's public. The whole world knows. So I work in Wisconsin. I live in Illinois. So that's why. But I told her don't buy the chips.
Okay, so I get it now. Okay.
I told her don't buy the chips. Like, what are you doing?
If I was in a store and they had Rams chips, I'm not picking them up. I don't care where I live.
No.
Or 49ers chips. It's not happening.
Buy off-brand, these were Tostitos. Buy some off-brand, dirt if you have to. You don't buy Bears chips.
We had a boyfriend who wasn't really a sport going into our family, like one of my cousins, and and we're all Ranger fans. He brought, when Bud Light did the Penguins, like when they party NFL teams, he brought that to the family party.
That's
we never saw him again.
Yeah, I get that.
So I just want to apologize to Jordan Love for the concussion. It was my wife's fault.
Okay, so now we have a clear view of what happened here.
To all Packers fans out there, it's all her fault. She didn't mean to do it, but it's still her fault. We can't take that off of her, So, nonetheless, we'll make sure that we take care of this. I picked up a friend, my son's friend, to bring him down to the house after work, and I told him, I said, we were talking about the game, and I said, yeah, Katie, she bought Bears chips, and he goes, "Oh, my dad would have never let my mom do that." I said, I didn't know about it. It wasn't my fault. It was her fault. So there you go. That explains everything. The second onside kick heartbreak in my life from Green Bay. And, at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world because still in the playoffs. All we have to do is win one of the final two games and we're in the playoffs. Maybe we play the Bears again. It's very likely that we play the Bears again in the playoffs. I'm not worried about it. The concussion scares me for Jordan Love, but Malik Willis looked really, really good out there.
He did. He really did.
He used to play some good football. We got to get healthy, but tough outing for us Packer fans on Saturday night, especially when it looked like we had it in the bag. So much so that I made some comments on Twitter and regretted them.
That's always the best.
Yeah.
I hate to have to eat your own words. That's
it's tough.
You can put all the spices you want on that. It's just not going to help.
But let me ask you guys this, because you guys are unbiased. So kind of like the Eagles. I look at the Bears. I'm not scared of the Bears.
No,
they won. I'm not blaming the refs. It's the cheap hits. Listen, I thought it was a dirty game. Yeah, blame my wife. It was a dirty game. They were obviously going after Jordan Love. There were two, in my opinion, dirty hits. Malik Willis. I don't think the Malik Willis hit was dirty. But the Love stuff it seemed obvious to me. They were trying to hit him and hit him hard. And it is what it is, though. At the end of the day, it's football. So I'm not blaming anything or anything like that. We lost, but I'm not afraid of the Bears. I'd be happy to see them again in the playoffs. What is your guys' take on the Bears, Brian, as far as your respect for them come playoff time?
I respect the Bears. I respect what Johnson's done this year. I think their future is very bright. But like you said, it kind of feels to me that they're a team that's ahead of schedule. Like they're 1 or 2 years. What?
Washington last year.
Yes, exactly. Like they're 1 or 2 years. They're kind of overshooting what they should have done. And it's going to, raise expectations next year a little bit too much. So they should look at this as a complete blessing and go into next year like, whatever happens, because we went ahead of schedule last year. No guarantees that we get all the breaks we did this year.
Yeah. Kevin, your thoughts on the Bears?
My brother's, a Bears guy, so I, can't be speaking too badly about them. But yeah, I agree with you. They're not a team that's, when you look at it, what really stands out? Caleb Williams really doesn't stand out. He's got some potential. He's put up some big games, but is he the quarterback you really want in a big spot? And the running game could be hit or miss. And we've talked about DJ Moore, and he goes into these invisible phases, and so they need to win the division to have at least one home game, because I don't have any trust if they go out on the road to have to win a game out on the road, because the NFC, there are some quality football teams here.
Yeah.
And so they're going to still have to show me that they can stand in there, and because Washington did that up until they met Philadelphia. But this is the same way I kind of feel about Denver. And because they've won some close games, and that streak is going to end at some point. You just hope maybe it's next year. But it's the same thing with the Bears. Can they really do it when it's all on the line? And that question still needs to be answered.
Let's go to Sunday's game. We won't look at all of them, but I do want to talk Panthers-Bucks. Panthers get the win at home by 3 points. We're talking about the Bears. I think the Bears are the 5th or 6th best team in the NFC right now. And I'd probably put them above both the Panthers and the Bucks at this point. Panthers currently would be the playoff team. I like the Panthers. I like what they're doing. I'm surprised at what they're doing this year, to be quite honest with you. And but I like it, and they get the win, but they got to play the Bucks again in a couple weeks. So, Kevin, when you looked at that game, you looked at that matchup, you see the outcome of it. Does it give you that much more confidence about the Panthers, or is it still kind of a coin flip for them?
It's a coin flip because the week before that, they lost to the Saints.
Yeah.
Can't have that. And it's the same thing with Tampa, though, because they lost to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And so I have no confidence, and especially the Bucks. They were charging earlier in the season. That's coming to an end. And I know they got to play and everything, but if we want to answer, wait till this Sunday, because the Seahawks go in there to play them. And if they stand in there with the Seahawks, then we could have some pretty good confidence in them, because they've had some big games, and then they'll turn right around and lose games that they shouldn't. Yeah. So this Sunday's game, we'll have a much more clear view on them. But I have a better feeling about them than Tampa at present, because Tampa just a couple weeks ago they beat Arizona, and they were talking about, it's an impressive win, but they barely beat them. Yeah. We're talking about Arizona. So I was not impressed with that at all. So neither of these teams would put a whole lot of fear in me going into the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, I always go, first thing I look at is Emeka Egbuka, 2 targets, 1 catch, 40 yards. And I sit there and go, the guy was so hot earlier in the year. We've seen running backs, do this as a rookie, where they've kind of started hot and tailored off because they've not used to playing that many games and get hit that hard and all that kind of stuff. Why is this happening with Tampa? Why is it happening with Egbuka when he was so good when the other guys were all hurt? He was there doing everything, and now they're back and he's still struggling.
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with Tampa, whether it be the coaching staff, the personnel. Because think about where this team was just 6 weeks ago. They were the best team in the NFL. Like that,
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
had them as the number one seed
MVP
in the NFC.
Baker. Yeah.
Yeah, MVP Baker, all this sort of stuff. And then they kind of collapse, and it's kind of coincide with everything. So I think it's a coaching thing. Like, we all like Todd Bowles, and he's a great defensive coordinator, but I watched him for 4 years in New York when he was the Jets coach, just back for red zone. So you watch the Giants at one, and whenever the Jets run, that's what you did. I've seen almost every game Todd Bowles coaches the Jets. Not a good head coach. So are we seeing those problems in Tampa Bay right now? It's worth asking.
Yeah. And then, Brian, your thoughts on Carolina, though? Like, I mean, Ted McMillan's been great. He continues to be very, very good. Bryce Young has been way better than I anticipated him being. The running game is the one thing that got hot earlier in the year, and it really hasn't been hot as of late.
Yeah, Donald's kind of fallen off here.
That pains me right there from a fantasy perspective.
So, Brian, when we look at this Carolina, let's say Carolina wins one more, they end up winning the division and going to the playoffs. Would you rather face the Panthers or the Bears in the playoffs?
I would rather face the Panthers because we've already seen, like, we saw last week against the Saints. Like, they can blow leads up, whereas the Bears just seem like they're flying so high. And you can say whatever you want. Like, you beat the Packers. That's a rival, a team that's in the playoffs. That looks really good on a resume. That builds a lot of confidence. Whereas a loss to a team like the Saints, who are, hunting for a top draft pick, that can kind of linger in your mind a little bit and bring you down. So I would much rather play the Panthers. I think they're more beatable. But I bet you when June and July come around and we start doing this show next year, we'll be spending a lot of time on the weapons in that Panthers offense, because I think they're going to be one of the most fun offense to watch next year.
Yeah, I think you're right. Two more games I want to hit on. Steelers-Lions. Steelers get the win. Crazy ending to that one as well. The offensive pass interference. Me and Dad talked about it on Thursday. Like, we don't necessarily cheer for Aaron Rodgers anymore, but we were this week because we needed the Lions to lose, especially after the loss on Saturday. Steelers are one of these teams, again, we've said we're not scared of them, all this kind of stuff, but the way they're ending this season is really intriguing, Kevin. What are your thoughts on that Steelers-Lions game?
Well, I liked what kind of happened afterwards, because Detroit sat there and they took it all on themselves. We did this to ourselves, and it's a big win for them to go into Detroit. And if there's a quarterback that knows what he's doing against Detroit, that's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
and he has looked very impressive of late. And so when you have a guy who's done it before back there, that calms a lot of things going on around him. I've got some huge questions after what's happened with DK Metcalf and all the nonsense that he's
2 game suspension. Yeah,
2 game suspension. And not only that, but he was doing that during the game of which, of course, the Steelers were, in fact, winning.
Yeah.
What are you doing back there?
Yeah.
And that's bad enough. And then, we could go on and on about this. But so I think that's a concern for the Steelers. They're not going to have – I think that's going to probably – he's already appealed, but it's going to be a 1 game, I think, is what it's going to wind up being.
It's
there.
Always that. They give him 2 to cut it down to 1.
Right. And so – but either one of these 2 games, are important.
Yeah.
And how does that mess up with their offensive, rhythms and all that? The running game, what is it? He averaged like 10 yards per rush, something really crazy like that. And we've been waiting for the running game to actually materialize. And so I could never like the Steelers, despite the fact that I have one of the jerseys in my closet because when Russell Wilson was there. But you have to respect what they're up to right now. And so they're going to have a home game in the playoffs. And so they could win. Whoever goes into Pittsburgh, not like last year, remember, they went into Baltimore, you knew they had no shot. This year, they have a shot.
Yeah, Brian, the win gets them 2 games up on Baltimore, meaning all they got to do is win 1 more. Baltimore should lose 1 more, and it's locked in for Pittsburgh. We spent so much of the season going, yeah, Pittsburgh's in first, but they won't be at the end. And now we're looking at them going, well, I guess they are. Not all of it's because they've been great.
A lot of it's not because they're
been
great.
horrible. Yeah. So I don't know what your thoughts on Pittsburgh right now.
I mean, shout out to Mike Tomlin for taking that. Everyone was chanting fire him after. I forgot.
That's right. They haven't lost a game since then.
They haven't lost that. So that's on. Whatever. Say whatever you want about Tomlin. How his message has fallen short. All that stuff. He was able to take that, make it a rallying point to this team, and make them a lot more dangerous. And like you said, Kev, they're going to be have a home playoff game. They're not an automatic out anymore. They're not. This team with Tomlin's head coach and Aaron Rodgers. I know it's not the Rodgers that was in Green Bay, but I never want to bet against Aaron Rodgers in a big spot. I'm not saying they're going to make a run, but I definitely see this team in the divisional round.
All right, so that brings us to the team I learned the most about this week, or grew in confidence the most about this week, was the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes.
They go into Denver and dominate. So, Brian, I have been so doubtful. I like the Jaguars. I like Trevor Lawrence, but I've been so doubtful of them all season long. And Brian, they win by 14 against Denver at Denver, who has a great defense. Give me your thoughts. Go ahead.
It's not just that Denver has a great defense. Is no matter what game they're in, you always felt they're going to win. Like you watch the game against Washington, and you watch the whole game. Denver's everything just looked off. The defense wasn't great. The offense wasn't great. But you just kept watching, just like, they're going to win this game. Like, it's just what they do. And the fact that the Jaguars were able to just straight up dominate them and give us basically no thoughts of, Denver could come back. There was no thoughts of that. So this Jacksonville team is hungry. I think Lawrence is ready to prove some doubters wrong because everyone seems out on Lawrence this year.
Yeah.
I see this Jacksonville team, with the AFC kind of wide open. There's no dominant team out there. Don't be surprised if the Jaguars pull off a couple upsets and find themselves in a conference championship game.
And Kevin, they get there by Parker Washington going 6 catches, 145 yards and a touchdown. Jacoby Myers going 4 catches, 45 yards. Brenton Strange, 5 catches and a touchdown. And Brian Thomas Jr. with 3 targets, 2 catches, 18 yards. And they still dominate the Broncos. Mind-blowing where Ryan Thomas has gone this season. But your thoughts on Jacksonville? I know you are a fan of anything Tigers, Jaguars, whatever.
That's right. And Brian, as you mentioned they were impressive because they scored the touchdown to take the lead, and then all of a sudden Denver turns it over. And then they go down there and they score another touchdown, and you're like, okay, they're putting their foot right on their necks. And so that was probably the most impressive win of the entire weekend to me, that they were able to go in there and face a team that had won, 10 straight?
At least, yeah.
And
yeah.
And I know I talked about earlier about being in close games, but this was not that. And so anytime you can go into Denver, even when Denver, past few years has not been that good, winning in Denver still means something, and it means something really this year. So, and before the season started, we were like the AFC South. What a horrible, horrible, horrible division that is. But now you've got the Jacksonville Jaguars, who has 11 wins. You've got Houston, that has 10 wins. And so there's some interesting football that's going to be going on down there. And if you have 11 wins and haven't clinched a playoff spot, that's really impressive for, how wide open this is. But when it comes to impressive wins, nobody did it better this weekend than Jacksonville.
All right, to kind of flip it to a fantasy topic now. New England and Baltimore. New England gets the win. Derrick Henry, 18 carries, 128 yards, and 2 touchdowns. On my fantasy team that I needed a big performance from because Travion Henderson got injured early, didn't get a lot of points for me. I desperately needed Derrick Henry. And, the last 12 minutes of the game, he never got another touch.
After
going for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns.
At all.
And
they've got the lead.
Yes, and the lead.
They've got the lead. I don't get it at all.
I mean, I look at it and go, I know the guys won a Super Bowl, but John Harbaugh, there has to be something major change.
There has to be something, whether he was on the sidelines and did something. It had to be some sort of disciplinary reason he was on the field.
It had to be that, or there was too much, CO2 on the sidelines or something, and he wasn't getting the oxygen he needed.
Well, the CO2 might explain Chris Collinsworth, because during the broadcast, he had to break down why not having Derrick Henry in the game was affecting Baltimore's offense. Thank you, Captain Obvious. No way that
you have to, attend to at least 2 years of college to come up with an answer to that. So.
Yeah.
But Drake May continues to be great fantasy quarterback.
And he's got me to the finals.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Drake May.
Stephon Diggs, I didn't think that was going to turn out well.
I didn't either.
It's looked good for them as well. And as we all said at the very beginning of the season, Mac Hollins is your go-to wide receiver in fantasy football this year. Good game for him this week as well. So lots of fun stuff this weekend. There's plenty more football, but we're going to transition now and get really into our fantasy side of things. So let's hit the read option. All right, we're heading into championship week. Hopefully you're still in it. Maybe you're in your consolation brackets. Maybe you're trying not to finish last so that you don't have to do whatever that crazy punishment is. Whatever it is, you got to make the right decisions this week. And so here are some starts and sit options for you. We're going by positions today. So, Kevin, start us off with quarterbacks.
Okay, so the quarterbacks, we just talked about him, Trevor Lawrence. If you've got this guy, attach your wagon to him without any question whatsoever. 15 touchdowns his last 5 games, no interceptions in his last 4. And so this is really, really, really big. He's got Indianapolis next. Nobody scares you on that defense. So if I have Trevor Lawrence, I am starting him with absolute confidence. Same with Joe Burrow. He just went absolutely nuclear after disappearing completely the week before that. 4 touchdowns at Miami. He's got Arizona at home. So Arizona, they're barely alive. So that's a start for me. And if you happen to be in a 2-quarterback league, I'm going to go with Jacoby Brissett here. I just talked about Arizona because they're facing the Cincinnati. Yeah. And the Cincinnati defense scares no one in any way, shape, or form. So I've talked about him, picking him up earlier in our episodes. So if you've got him and you do have a 2-quarterback league, I would seriously consider putting him in. As far as sits are concerned, I'm concerned. We just talked about Philadelphia. I'm concerned with Jalen Hurts going into this next game, seeing as how they've clinched the division. And that's all they're going to do is they can't climb up the ladder any further in my mind. So they may not want to, expose him very much going into this next game. So I would not feel confident if he was my quarterback to lead me to the promised land this week. So I would look at maybe sitting him. Let's see, Baker Mayfield. We just talked about them as well. And he was gone from MVP. I had him on, I still do, but I'm starting him. He was the MVP of fantasy and real football for the longest time. I do not trust him. I would not want to put my fantasy team into his hands to get me to the promised land, even though nobody's scared about that defense. But I just don't trust him, so I'm not going to put him in my starting lineup. If I can possibly avoid it, I can because I've got Drake May. So I don't trust him one iota to be a starting quarterback to win you your league.
All right, there you go. Quarterback starts and sits. Let's transition to the running backs now, Brian. Who you got?
So my first start is Chase Brown. The Cardinals have allowed the 5th most fantasy points to running backs this year. Brown's also been really hot these past 2 weeks. I know he was kind of hit or miss to start the year, but 13-plus points in 5 of the last 6 games, coming off that 30-point performance this week. He's seen pretty good, so I think he's in store for another big week. I'm also starting Ashton Genty because he's going up against the Giants' run defense, and I don't think they could stop a parked car. So we're going to see a very Boise State-type Ashton Genty performance on Sunday. And then my final start is Kevin's guy, Kenneth Walker. Panthers have allowed the 11th most fantasy points for running backs this season. And if you look at what Walker just did against one of the best run defenses in the league, put up over 100 yards on him, like that is just a sign of a good running back to me. He does more with less. He hasn't exceeded over 16 touches since week 7. I think he's fine. I think he's ready to go. He's in for a big week. My sits, we just talked about the Panthers run game. I'm sitting Rico Dowdle. The Seahawks have allowed the fourth fewest fantasy points, and Dowdle's fallen off. He's only gotten double digits in only one fantasy game over the last 4 weeks, and this is without a major drop in usage. So they're using him the exact same amount. It's just the product isn't there. I'm also going to bench Aaron Jones. He's going to be a very popular player this week with everyone in Minnesota out. You got Mason, basically question mark. JJ McCarthy's a question mark. And if the game wasn't on Christmas, maybe it's not as much question. But with that short week, you don't know how guys are going to react. So everyone I think about Aaron Jones. I think the Lions are going to sack the box and really just give him Haddock all day. I don't think the Vikings do anything on offense on Christmas.
Oh, what a wonderful Christmas present that
I know, right? They're giving poor Minnesota's getting cold.
All right, wide receivers, Kevin, who you got?
Okay, so I want to start off with a guy who had disappeared completely, and that's Justin Jefferson, who didn't have, in the last 5 weeks before this past week, he didn't have 10 fantasy points. But he had 6 of 8 passes, 85 yards against your Giants. Goes up against Detroit this week, and guess where they rank against wide receivers? That would be dead last. So it's tough to trust him, but I would this week wholeheartedly. And my second guy is Wan'Dale Robinson of your Giants. Brian goes up against the number 29 defense against wide receivers this week. So if you're looking for some guy that's maybe off the beaten trail a little bit, he's what I'd go to. And Deebo Samuel, he's the last guy I'm going to talk about as a start. Number 31 he faces this week. There are some wide receivers that are facing some dreadful defenses. All 3 of these guys, they're right at the bottom of the league. So I would sit there if I had to put either of those 3 guys in and feel good about it. As far as sits are concerned, Xavier Worthy of the Kansas City Chiefs, okay, doesn't have a quarterback that we know of at this moment to throw to him. And so he plays Thursday, Christmas Day against Denver, even though Denver got gashed a little bit. I'm not buying that. Denver's got a quality defense. And so there's no chance I'm starting Xavier Worthy whatsoever. Another guy, Tampa Bay, Chris Godwin. I'm not starting him this week because Miami has the number 1 defense against fantasy wide receivers. My last sit, Ladd McConkey's not facing the Dallas Cowboys this week. He had a nice game against them. Goes up against Houston's number 2 defense against wide receivers. So I liked Ladd McConkey going into the season. He hasn't really stepped up like we thought, and he will not do so this week. So I'm sitting here.
Listen, I'm willing to embarrass myself here, but I consider myself relatively knowledgeable about rosters and things like that. When I looked at the box score in Kansas City this week, I said, wait, who? I was like, is that a punter? Like, what? And
I still couldn't tell you what his name is. It's something weird.
Yeah, I can't pronounce it.
Yeah.
But
who's that super fan that got arrested for robbing all the banks in his getup? You know what I'm talking about? That Chiefs super fan. You've not heard this?
No.
This is crazy. It's a Chiefs super fan. He dressed up like a wolf every single game. And it turns out that before the game, he was robbing banks. I swear to God, this is the true story.
Oh, no.
I thought it was him at first.
I was sitting there flipping through the box scores to look. I saw Tennessee played well, and I thought, oh, that's cool.
9 points against Tennessee.
Gracious, man.
You're in the ditch.
Yeah, and there's going to be some third stringers playing again this week, probably in Minnesota, probably in Kansas City, possibly in Green Bay. Like, it's going to be wild. Okay, sorry. Back to the business. Tight ends, Brian. Who do we love and who do we stray away from this week?
Well, I'm loving Harold Fannin Jr. this week. He had a big game this past week. He's had 15 points in 2 of the last 3 games. As we've all said, rookie quarterback's best friend is a tight end, and Fannin has 10-plus targets in the past 2 weeks. Had 6 the week before this week. So, he's getting looked at. I love him this week. I'm also shockingly love Darren Waller. Has had over 3 receptions in every week since the bye. Buccaneers have allowed the 5th most fantasy points to tight ends this year, and has 40 receiving yards in 3 of the last 4 games. I think is in store for another big one. And finally, it's Colston Loveland. Look, the Niners have not been great against tight ends this year, allowing the 7th most points. And, with Loveland getting like 4 to 6 targets per game, he's a big part of that offense. I think is in store for a big game. I'm sitting Dallas Goedert, a guy that we've all kind of relied on in the past, has had under 4 receptions in 5 of the last 7 games, not getting the volume he once did. He's really relied on touchdowns for his fantasy points the last 2 weeks. Also, the Bills have allowed the fewest points to tight ends this year, so that helps too. I'm also not starting Evan Ingram. Has failed to get more than 2 receptions in 3 of the last few games. The Chiefs are the 5th best defense against tight ends. And, we have to say that Broncos offense is so inconsistent. Even if Ingram's having a great night, it might just be for nothing because the Broncos can't get anything going.
I love it. All right, we're going deep today, guys. Defense, special teams. Kevin, who we like this week? Who are we staying away from?
Well, who I like, first of all, is the New England Patriots. They've got the number 15 defense. That's not great, but they're facing the 28th ranked offense in the New York Jets. Anytime you can play a defense against the Jets, you want to get involved with that. Sorry, Ryan, if you're watching. But also Denver, we just talked about. Kansas City has, the super fan Robin Banks as their quarterback. So who knows who,
I swear to God, I'm not thinking this is 100% a true story.
So there's everything to like about Denver. If you've got him, you just set and forget that right now. And then Jacksonville has a number 5 defense overall. But they're going up against Indianapolis, and they already played one time, and they shut down the everything running back. I think they can do it again. And we'll have 2 weeks of Phillip Rivers tape to digest. And so there's this matchup on the Indianapolis side I don't like whatsoever. So Jacksonville, however, Browns, they've got a solid defense, but going up against the number 11 defense in Pittsburgh, don't like it. We just talked about them and all that's going on well with them. So if I have Cleveland, I'm going to try and see if I can find someone else to start on defense. Also, the 49ers play the Chicago Bears, who are absolutely going to be all kinds of motivated to go in there, even though they're on the road. The Bears have the number 5 overall defense, so I don't like that matchup. And then last is Chiefs. Chiefs have a solid matchup usually, but I don't like the Denver has the number 4 overall offense. And so I don't like any of those defense. I'm sitting them.
I like it. All right. Finally, we cannot leave out the kickers. They've been instrumental this year. Brian, what kickers for the championship are we going with?
All right. Well, I'm going to start Brandon McManus, double-digit points in back-to-back games in 3 of the last 5. Also made 7 straight field goals, so you like seeing that. I'm also going to start Cam Little, who's had 3 straight games with double-digit points and has made 14 straight field goals. And then finally is Will Reinhard, 10 points in back-to-back weeks, and he has not missed a kick, whether it be a field goal or extra point, since week 8. So that's 9 weeks. That's pretty good. I'm going to sit Jake Elliott. He's missed 3 field goals in the last 3 games. If you want to think, he's 5 for 8 during that stretch, so not great. He's also been under 3 points in 3 of his last 5 games. So the struggles are clearly affecting his fantasy production. I'm also sitting Riley Patterson, only 6 points in the last 2 games. He only has 1 field goal attempt during that stretch. He's very heavy on extra points, and that's just not coming this week.
I love it, guys. There you go. Your starts and sits this week for your championship weekend, or to keep you out of the cellar and your punishments in your league as well. Plenty of great stuff for you. All right, let's head into the red zone. All right, guys. Last week of the season, of the fantasy football season, and we've had some injuries this past week. We got guys that now, that have clinched, that maybe you're going to start sitting some guys, all that kind of stuff. So there's still some importance around the waiver wire. And Brian, let's start with you on this one. Who's your first waiver wire pickup this week if you're looking for that final push?
So I'm going with Trey Harris. He's only rostered in 3.2% of leagues, had roughly 50 yards in back-to-back games. He also has 4 targets in 3 of the last 4 games. So if he can find the end zone, the sky's the limit for him. He could be a really big producer for you. So it's a gamble, but with him getting 50 receiving yards, you have a decent floor, and that touchdown could really take you through the roof.
Love it. All right, Kevin, who's your first waiver wire?
Okay, so my first guy is league dependent, and that is because if you're in a league that includes like kick returns, yardage, and adds that, I think you should. And if you do have that, I have Cavante Turpin for you of the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. Because he's a wide receiver, supposedly, but that's not why you're going to add this guy. He has been in double digits 4 straight weeks now because of his ability to return kicks, both punts and kickoffs. And he's a very exciting returner back there. So if you're needing, and he is at 2.1% roster. So if you're needing help at wide receiver, and you better check your league to make sure. If you're in the championship, of course, you know this already. But if like I said, if they include or return yardage as part of a player's total, then this is the guy that I would certainly look into, because at Washington this week on Christmas Day, I think that he's going to show out, and he might even return a kick for touchdown. So if I need a guy, that's who I'm going with.
Yeah, and he is. He's got 25 receptions on the year. He's got 16 carries on the year. So he's getting some touches. Not a lot. Interesting, though. I like it. All right, Brian, who's your other waiver wire?
I'm going with Isaac Tisala. I believe that's how you pronounce his name.
Okay, I'll buy it.
4 catches for 52 yards and a touchdown with 7 targets. That's a chemistry. That's the building with how much the Lions have struggled, especially on offense. They need to just find anything that worked. And if God thinks he's got some connection, or Tisala's getting hot, he's going to look his way. He looked his way 7 times on Sunday. I expect to repeat this week. I think he could be a really big game changer for you.
All right. And Kevin, your final waiver wire, Jim.
So my final waiver wire is the guy that I've recommended benching last week, and that's Blake Corum of the Los Angeles Rams, because he faced the number 3 rushing defense, but he's got double digits in 4 straight weeks.
Yeah.
Even though he's not even the starter, and but he comes in, he plays just almost as much as Williams does, and so I really like him going into this week. If you need running back help, he's at 29% rostered, so he may not be as available as some of these other guys we could talk about. But if he is and you need running back help, I think that this is a big pickup for them. And so if you need running back help, this is the guy I'd look to.
Yeah, 5 touchdowns in the last 4 games.
That's right. I could have meant, I even have it written down right here. 5 touchdowns in the last, 4 games?
So single-digit carries through the first 6 or 7 weeks.
That's right.
Then he starts to come on a little bit, goes back to some single-digit carries against Seattle, against Tampa, against Carolina. But the last 3 weeks, double-digit carries against Arizona, 128 yards and 2 touchdowns, 71 yards against Detroit last week, 48 this week. Touchdowns, like you said, in the last 4 games. Like what Blake Corum is doing, he has pushed people into their championship matchups.
That's right.
They picked him up and they're playing him. If he's still available in your league, 1,000%. If you need running back help, Blake Corum is a safe play, I think, at least here. And you're right. Williams, he had carried, I think, 23 times this week, whereas Corum had 14, but Corum's the one that found the end zone. And
he sure did.
That's what it comes down to. So I love that for sure. All right, guys. Championship week. Let's talk about it real quick. Strategy wise, Brian, you're in the championship of our league. You're playing Hector. You are the football guy. He is the football guy. And so for all of us American football fans, you cannot lose.
No, it's a lot riding on me this week.
That's right. No, you got to carry the flag for us.
So, Brian, let's start with you. You're in our league's championship. Big thing going into this championship matchup. What do we not overthink? What's a strategy to look at going into this final week?
It is tough because you think of strategy, you think of matchups and stuff like this. But at the end of the day, just lean on the guys that got you there, because you're going to be so mad at yourself if, like, for instance, Justin Herbert this week, so against Houston's defense. That's a bad matchup. I don't love it. I've thought about starting Bryce Young, but I'm sitting here thinking, like, I'm going to be so mad at myself if I'm sitting on my couch on Sunday afternoon and I see Herbert threw for 4 touchdown passes and Bryce Young threw for 2 interceptions. It's like you overthought it. You let the matchups get into your head a little bit, and you abandon a guy that got you this far. So if you probably have 4 or 5 pieces on your roster that are like your core, lean on them. Don't overthink it. Doesn't matter the matchup. They got you here. Go down with the ship.
I love it. Kevin, you not in our league, but in another league, you're in the championship too. Give us your thoughts on kind of final strategies going into this final week.
Well, I don't know if I could say it any better than what Brian just did. And, we talked about picking these guys up on waivers, but you do that, don't put these guys in over your studs. But if you've got injuries and all that sort of thing, that's fine. But as you said, Brian, lean on the guys who got you here. And if you don't have to make any waiver wire moves, don't feel bad about it because your team's got you here. And so don't overthink the waiver wire. And another thing is, if you're not in the championship, wait until, you don't want any punishments or any of that stuff, but wait until the guys that are in the championship make their moves if they're going to before you pick up anybody from the waiver wire. I've never said no, because I see this every single year. The question comes in, well, if you're eliminated, should you not be able to pick up players? I think that's bogus. If you're playing, you should be able to pick up players. Just wait until the guys that are playing for something do that. But beyond that, just trust the guys that got you here, as you said, Brian, and let it ride. And whatever happens, and don't freak out like I did last Thursday because I thought I had lost because of one first half where my star had no points. So just keep calm, okay, and let it play out.
As our friend Aaron Rodgers would say, RELAX. Relax. You made it here.
Isn't it a Frankie song too? Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
What's that?
Isn't it a song? Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
I think so.
Relax. Don't do it.
Oh yeah. Hey, real quick, because it got brought up there in Brian's talk about Justin Herbert and Bryce Young. So as Kevin was talking, I threw it into Rotobot to see what they would have to say about this. Okay.
Okay. I'm interested to hear this.
Herbert or Bryce Young. Here's the summary that Rotobot AI has been with us all season long, by the way. It's a AI app, but it's created specifically for fantasy football. So you can put in start sits, you can put in trade stuff, you can put in all kinds of analytics that are on here too. And they've just added a ton of stuff like for gambling, making picks, things like that as well. So starter sit, Justin Herbert, Bryce Young. Here's what they say. Bryce Young's recent hot streak of 7 touchdowns with 0 interceptions over 3 games signals sharp efficiency and low turnover risk. Despite Herbert's superior yardage and passer rating, his high sack count of 49 and pressure rate of 43.9 raised durability concerns. Young's mobility, 49 rushing yards in the last game, adds a valuable fantasy floor. The algorithm favors Young's upward momentum and dual threat upside over Herbert's volume-heavy but riskier profile, justifying the start despite Herbert's raw stats. So AI and Brian disagree, which brings us to this. All season long, we've battled the bot, and right now we are tied. Brian and the bot are tied. So here we go. Me and Kevin, we don't need to make a pick this week, but this is it. Kevin picks Justin Herbert. The bot picks Bryce Young. And in next week's season finale, we will see, did Brian beat the bot or not with Roto?
Man, so I'm playing for America and the human race. I got
that's right.
There's a lot riding on this game here, folks.
Yeah, don't let the Terminator take us down.
I know. I can't let that win.
Brian, I hope you understand the weight on your shoulders this week. You are playing in a championship against a soccer guy, so you have to do that just for the American football world. Then you're battling up against AI.
That's
you
right.
got to do that for the human race. Like I don't want to be you, Brian.
Oh my God, I got enemies on all sides.
That's right, ladies. You got to check out Brian Germanaro. He's
right.
That's right. The hero.
The hero this country does not want, but they deserve.
I love it. All right, guys, what are we doing content-wise this week, Kevin? Coming into this final week of the Fantasy Football Championship, what you got going on this week?
Well, for one thing, the Seahawks and Rams game inspired me so much that I wrote a summary of the comeback, and so that is on the Belly Up fan or Belly Up website right now, and so check that out. Also, we went and gloriously discussed the victory on the Seahawks Session Show over there on Department of BS, and that was quite enjoyable to do. And on Friday, we will be discussing once again the Seahawks and Carolina playing. That's a critical game for both teams there. So we are definitely looking forward to that. And you can always find me on Twitter, Kevin62WILSEA. And any questions, comments, problems, issues, you can always send them my way. So I'm just looking forward to this week. And you have any star sits questions? Shoot them my way.
Awesome. All right, Brian, what do you got going on this week?
So we got 3rd and 10 coming out today. It is kind of a hybrid show. We're recapping the Vikings game and also going to preview Commanders a little bit. Although it's probably just going to be like, not Commanders, Raiders, but it's probably just going to be this team lose, this team sucks. Let's talk about Christmas. So you want the Christmas special.
You want a better Christmas present than Giants Raiders, that's for sure.
Yeah, go check out that. And then I will have at some point soon. I will have the 3 receivers Notre Dame should target in the transfer portal because that's going to be a very big need for the Irish coming up.
Nice.
All right, interesting.
Did you? I haven't seen it. Have you written anything about Jadarian Price declaring?
I have not, but it was kind of obvious that both were declaring. I said it in the Notre Dame eulogy that it was probably going to be Aeneas Williams going to be our RB1 next year. Yeah. Sophomore standout this year. Had looked pretty good, especially that Stanford game looked good. So I'm excited to see what the kid has. I'm sad that Love and Price are gone. They're probably one of my favorite 1-2 punches. Sad I couldn't watch them in a playoff game, but hey, you know what? That's life.
From a draft perspective, I was a little surprised. I thought Price going back would have really boosted his value next year. But he'll still be probably a 2nd-round pick this year, more than likely. And
he could have been a 1st-round pick had he come back the year. But
yeah, they would be talking about him the same way they're talking about Love this year had he gone back, I think.
Agreed.
So, all right, very cool. Let's see here. I've got a show coming out Wednesday, Christmas Eve. Me and Dad will be on the air. We don't know what time, but it'll be during the day. Special morning episode probably. But me and Dad will get there, preview the Christmas stuff, preview the weekend. I'm sure Dad will have some thoughts on the Bears-Packer game from this past week.
I'm sure he will.
And from there, follow us on Twitter at Sports Stove, and our show's the Sports Stove Football Show. And then I'd encourage you to jump over to the Sports Stove YouTube channel as well. Lots of draft content up over there, and just some fun stuff. We'll have a lot as soon as January. January 13th or 14th when everyone has to declare, then we'll start getting back more rankings and stuff like that too. So plenty of stuff going on around the world. Always check out bellyupsports.com for articles. Check out Belly Up Sports YouTube for all kinds of great content that is out there. And the Belly Up Sports socials have been going wild with clips and videos and things like that going on and breaking news, all that going on right now as well. Next week, we will have our season finale. We'll give out fantasy awards. We'll bring on Hector, if he's able to come on at least, to talk about either beating Brian or losing to Brian, but about his fantasy football season. We'll bring him on and give him a chance to gloat a little bit either way. And of course, Brian and Kevin will be back with us as well as we close out 2025 fantasy football and the year here on Belly Up Fantasy Live Football Show.
That's right. Everybody have a merry and safe Christmas out there.
Yes, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yes, I can't believe we're at Christmas.
Me neither.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Crazy. I got so many movies to watch because I just I'll get around to it. I haven't watched Santa Claus, Elf, Christmas Vacation. I haven't watched any of them yet.
Oh, wow.
I watched Die Hard last week.
That's right. That's got to happen every year. That's throw this in there because last night we went and saw the movie. David, I highly recommend it.
Oh, nice. Yes. Nice.
So
my Christmas movie is Home Alone. I have to watch it every year.
Okay. That's a worthy selection. Sure. Yeah. And National what's that one? Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
That's the best.
That's quality movies right there. So
it's just so dumb. It's perfect.
It is. It is.
I was gonna shout out at a Belly Up Sports show and say it's just like, but no, I won't do that. We'll keep that one off the air. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck in your championship game.
Right.
Merry Christmas. We'll see you next week as we conclude the year off as well. That's it for us tonight on the Belly Up Fantasy Live Football Show.